Well, fabulous friends, it's not just for Broadway, so let's talk about making your game gay. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Sean.
And this is a GM's Toolbox. Well, hello there, and welcome back to yet another episode of a GM's Toolbox. I am Courtney, she, they.
And I'm Sean. They, them.
Oh, it's so sad.
That was so sad.
Boom. And we're going to chat about making your game gay.
Yay. I'm coming.
And we're joined
out.
today by a fabulous guest.
Who's that?
Gabe, it's you.
Yeah, wait. Who is that fabulous guest? Well,
Look to my left, I look to my right. Oh, that must be me. Hi, my name's Gabriel. He, him, but really will answer to anything. It's great to be here with the two of you.
again. I mean, for the
Not
first
again,
time.
for the first time
ever.
How dare you? How dare you mention? Because now we have to talk about it. Now we have to talk about how you deleted your audio, Sean.
Well, someone deleted someone's
We
audio.
won't say who. Sean.
No, we won't say who, even though we've said who twice now, but we will not say who, whomever it may have been. That sounds very suspiciously like me. Yes, the secret, the terrible lost episode. But it's okay because we
The lost
got to sort of
episode.
tweak our lost episode. I mean, that's what it is. It's the lost episode. But we got to tweak our talking points a little bit, and we are a little bit more in the flow of our show now.
Yeah.
So it's not for the worst. The
Definitely
only
not for
sad
the
thing
worst.
is that hopefully at some point during this episode I can find a way to fit in the darker queers joke, because otherwise it
That
just
was the
doesn't.
lost joke. And
That's the
then-
lost joke.
Yeah.
But
Anyways,
yeah, we're back.
Yeah, we're gonna chat about making your game gay, and what the fuck that means.
What does that
um,
mean?
What does it mean? Well, first off,
There's not gay games? I don't understand that.
all of my games are gay. I don't really know what
Yeah.
not gay is.
I looked at your guys' talking points, and I was like, yeah, I think everything I've done in any of my games have been gay.
Well, then that's why you're here.
Okay.
The first question certainly is, why should we make things gay? And is it actually important? Who wants to tackle
Yes.
Probably.
Next
No.
question.
Most likely.
that? Next. We don't need to explain anymore. I think that the thing here, I think the overarching theme here is we are not trying to be educators, like do your own research and do your own thing. But this is a place where you can get some tips and tricks on how to make your game gay. But if we're talking for a little bit about why is it important, it's because there is somebody at your table that might not be out yet, or might need a little bit more support in their lives, or don't have it.
So
And-
let's learn who they are. And the best
So
way to
let's
do
learn
that
who
is
they are.
via gameplay.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
if you add in a couple of queer creatures into your campaign, with making it incredibly natural, that's going to make them feel 100 times better about themselves. I know it happened to me. I know that I have was able to do that for others, and I think that that's super important, because we're here to normalize all this kind of stuff and make it incredibly natural and awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think the number one reason why you should make your game gayer is the world is gay. The whole world, actually planet Earth, canonically a homo. Big old homo, that Earth. No, but the whole, that we exist in the world. The gays are out there. And so you should make it gay because that's real. And like Cam said, there's probably someone at your table who's gay or bi or queer or however they
Questioning.
identify. questioning
for sure.
Really, the questioning people that's the best reason to do it, because it gives them an opportunity to explore, like Cam just said.
Yeah.
You can try things out with a character that maybe you want to try out in real life, but you're a little afraid to. And that doesn't mean, we did a whole episode on like sexy times here on this podcast. Consent. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have to dive into having a bunch of gay sex in your game, unless that's what your table's into, in which case
that's a different
case,
that's a campaign in itself, depending on the peeps there.
But that's, it doesn't mean that, but you should think about, exploring how do people in your world represent themselves, and you don't even have to talk about their, bumping uglies with their husband, but just saying, hey, there's in Waterdeep, the two Smithy Smiths in whatever, they're husbands, and it's super cute, and that's really all you need to know. And honestly, if you want to know more about what they're doing in bed, then
ask
why.
What?
I mean, not to yuck anyone's yum, but why?
Yeah, I mean, that's Waterdeep's Dragon Heist. That's a thing that Wizards of the Coast created. I didn't do any of the writing on that one. That was just something I read as learning about a particular part of the city, and it had a gay couple that Smith together, and it was super cute. And I was like, I am so down for all of these things.
And they have the whole like fire and ice thing going for it.
Yes.
Well, fire and water, but fire and ice.
Fun.
Anyway,
it's delightful.
Going off of what you said, Cam, though, you mentioned like put gay creatures in there, and I think that is something that is really like, it doesn't need to just be, as Sean was saying, like gay is canonically Earth. Like, it doesn't need to just be the NPCs. Like, there could be gay dragons out there too, going with creatures and stuff like that. Or you could put in some gay unicorns here and there. Nobody will see that coming, obviously, but but also make sure that it's nice. Like, there's nothing wrong with a gay villain, but there's also other people out there as well. We've already seen so many of the gay villains. Thank you, Disney. But I think that's something just remember too as a GM.
Yeah.
And that is how our darker queer joke came up the first time around, as I think I got us off on a tangent about queer coding in Disney villains. And there is nothing wrong with having a gay villain. Gay people can be evil too. Evil people can be gay too. I am evil gay. I am one of them darker queers.
I was trying real hard to slip into it, and then Sean just had to like. It's like
no, we don't do subtle here. This is the gay episode. We are not subtle for the gay episode.
I also think that I should create queer creatures. Is that already a thing? Has someone already done that? I want to do a queer creatures like thing.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, right.
I'm trying to think what would go in there, and the first thing I can think of is like a Medusa drag queen.
Medusa drag queen.
I don't know why that was the first thing that like came to mind. I just imagined Medusa be like, yeah, I didn't want to be like the idea of feminine beauty. I wanted to be butch, and now you've helped me get there. So fuck off, Athena.
I do think, to bring us back, I do think it is important to vary up where your representation comes from. I think it's really easy to code a villain as queer. And like I said, there is no problem with having an evil gay, as long as that's not the only representation. To further Gabe's point, like you can have gay bad guys and gay good guys, or, gender fluid, or queer, or questioning. Have a questioning NPC. Good luck with that. But if you can pull it off, like if that's something you can do, that's dope. Do that.
But make sure it's not that makes them a villain. Like, like
absolutely.
Totally don't make it, I am gay, that's why I'm evil. Like, give them something else. Don't make their identity be the reason that they're evil, like, at all. Because that's not what you want.
I am evil, and also I'm gay.
Yeah.
So I guess the question here is, and I'm going to aim this towards you, Gabe, what does inclusion mean in this space? What do we mean when we say make it gayer?
As I was saying, like all of my games at this point in time are inclusive in players. Most of them have some queerness in their life. And so for me, bringing that inclusion to the table is making sure that they feel that they're in a safe place, and that their characters can be who they want to be and not feel like they're going to necessarily be judged by it. And going with that, like, sure, maybe they're in a city that's like a little bit harsher and stuff, but it's not something that is going to be the whole world is against them. Like, they're going to have numerous safe places that they can find themselves in, and their identity, especially their if they're deciding to be gay, if they're deciding to be trans, that's not going to work against them at the table. It's like, no, we see you're an adventurer. You can be whoever the fuck you want to be. You can save the world and wear heels.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's awesome.
+2 heals of protection, also double as a piercing weapon.
Yeah.
unless they're chunky heals. In which case it's bludgeoning, but yeah.
Well, I'm really trying to figure out how to bring like the Bayonetta shoes so that like some player can have those, just nobody's.
You said bayonet shoes?
Yeah,
Bayonetta.
From Sega.
I have to Google.
A video game.
Yeah.
She fierce.
Yeah.
Also, all of her shit's her hair.
Oh my god, I love her.
Oh shit.
She's literally wearing clothing out of
and
made out of hair.
You see her shoes? They're
they
guns.
have like guns?
Yeah.
What? That's awesome.
Watch some videos of her like battling, and she goes into all these weird poses and stuff. But it's still like
just so that way she can reach her guns better.
Yeah. I've only played one game, but I've watched many a thing.
Speaking of combat.
Oh hey. Roll for initiative.
Let's stat something.
Stat dat.
Stat that. I was going
Oh my god.
I was going to try and segue, but I don't know what the creature we're statting today, because Gabe brought it.
So excited for this. I don't know how many months I've had this after you told me the last episode was lost.
Yeah, that's true.
And then you've just had so much time. This is for my friend Adam, because this is a gay icon. And so today who we're going to be statting is Britney Spears.
Hashtag free Britney.
Mm-hmm.
Mental conservatorships are bullshit.
And fun fact, I have a Britney Spears in one of my campaigns already, but she is not a legendary creature as what we will be doing today.
Okay, so we're setting a legendary creature.
A legendary creature. And I've had some time and fun on making some legendary actions and layer actions, but I'm so down to hear what you guys have as well.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. Oh, man. Britney Spears.
Well, singer and dancer.
Yeah.
So I would say
bard?
probably some sort of either bard-like charm skill or siren-like charms. Probably. So I would say vocal-based attacks, or
Sure.
Abilities, spells, whatever, but charm effects, and then psychic or thunder damage abilities. And then she was super she's very physically capable, so I would say possibly also some not weapon based but like hand-to-hand style melee, like dance.
Yeah, I was thinking she had some sort of
combat.
monk stuff.
I super put bard / monk is like if she was to become a character, just because the monk, as both of you have seen, like a monk can dance.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like the Brazilian fighting style.
Oh,
dance fighting.
Yeah, dance fighting for sure. The different like legendary actions and layer actions I chose were all based on different songs that she has.
Capoeira.
Including one of her strongs being stronger, because like as you said, she's physically fit. And I actually kind of like this action. I want to give it to some monster out there, but for this layer action, she gets to choose either strength, dexterity, or charisma and change her stat to 40 until the next layer action. That may be one of my favorite stats that I just was like, oh, this would be really fun. But then, when she can't use the same layer action again, and then the next time she uses this layer action, she can't choose the same stat bump.
That's cool.
I thought it'd be fun.
So she can sort of move her stats around.
Yeah, and sort of
What
see.
does that look like? Like when she moves her stats around to like, what is that like? How does that manifest as like a visual to like tell your players?
I would say like because she's a bard, like this could also just be like illusion magic that's happening, like scene shift. We're changing the number now to something else, and the lights are changing to sort of so all of a sudden we're able to like see her flexing her muscles, or all of a sudden she's like just covered in glitter, or her hair is blowing behind her as she like strikes a pose. Like I could see that being sort of, because I feel like if you're gonna face her, there needs to be some sort of stage that's happening.
Let's talk about that some more. Okay, wait. Can we stat her layer? Like, can we figure out like? So this is in like a big city, right? And there's this like beautiful theater that you're seeing. You're seeing
Theater,
Britney Spears. And for some fucking
hall,
reason, you have
like
pissed Britney
that.
off. You have like Flash on your phone.
I mean, maybe you haven't pissed Britney off. Maybe she has challenged you to come up on stage to do a dance off with her. Like, because first off, if you were there to watch her concert, you probably wouldn't be there to kill her. You would be there to support her, and you and your friends, your party, have been chosen to come up on stage and have this dance off with her, and you all like have your Britney Spears like gear on. We're so ready for this.
I'm gonna write a free Britney one shot.
Do it. Fucking do it.
You have to fight her toward the end of it probably, but it's only because she is under some sort of charm spell or some other thing that's keeping her trapped inside.
Yes.
She has one level in Warlock that is binding her to have to do this.
Yes. Yeah. I think that there should be one that's lucky that she can re-roll something for like a legendary action.
Mm-hmm. The other ones that I had were Gimme More, which allows her to heal herself based on how many of her opponents are currently under the effect of Irresistible Dance.
Called that Gimme More and not Hit Me Baby one more time?
No, I had that I had that somewhere else. I had a bunch of different ones. I had to delete. I was like, I can't. Only 3 layer actions. Only 3. I also had Me Against the Music so that she could conjure Madonna for 1d4 rounds.
Nice.
This is a legendary creature. Honestly, I keep forgetting that it's a legendary creature. I'm like, how can she? What?
She gets to summon another legendary creature for 1d4 rounds. But Madonna won't have a layer action because it's not her stage. She's just a guest performer.
Oh man, I love that. So then all of her like, if she needs to like do some melee attacking, I want to imagine that she's got like because there's like a monk ability of if you use a key point you can disengage, right? Am I wrong?
There are a couple. Drunken Master, if you use a key point to do Flurry of Blows, you automatically gain the disengage.
That's cool
effect.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if is Britney Spears sober or not in this stat.
Oh.
I want to feel like this is prime Britney.
Prime Britney.
Like glowing, glistening, a goddess on stage, sort of.
So then there's got to be. I mean, then there's something with the monk. I know that there's if you use a key point, you can for some reason disengage. I feel like there's something like that. But what I'm trying to get at is, I think that I think her primary stuff is spell casting, but if she needs to do melee, she'll do just as much damage to the player. But I think that she will then disengage. I think she'll do like like the Flurry of Blows thing, and then like flip away without provoking attack of opportunity. Or maybe she has like a reaction or something. I know that Exactly. Without provoking an attack of opportunity.
And I mean, that could easily be flourished.
Step of the wind. Step of the wind lets you disengage.
And that could easily
Or
also
dash.
be flourished. Because what's the goblin boss stat? They can like switch places with one of their goblin minions, and I could see Brittany easily choreography. Yeah, just switching with a backup dancer when you're about to hit her.
Oh my god, I love it. But then you hit the backup dancer.
Yeah, but the backup dancer could have like, I'm Brad. I'm really like ripped and ready. Bring it on. They like land on the floor.
Meaty backup dancers.
Yeah. And that's a reaction, I think, for goblins.
And now for Britney Spears.
I mean, that would be a reaction for Brittany too. Yeah.
So
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I mean that totally goes with the whole you're on stage with her. You're facing a bard.
I love that. I love that.
So with the irresistible dance, one of the legendary actions that I was thinking for her was circus, that she's able to choose a number of creatures within like 30 feet of her, and they all need to do opposing performance checks against her. And so she would roll a performance die, and they would roll a performance die, and if they fail, which probably is likely, they're under irresistible dance.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's like, are you going to join the choreography? Are you not going to join? You're going to join the choreography. You're now part of the number. Which I think is just really good for any bard in any sort of thing. And then
no, totally.
Play, because irresistible dance is ridiculous.
I agree.
Yeah. And I think that the original only allows you to do one. So I think the payoff with this is that she also needs to roll to see if she's like performing well.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they contest with.
Yeah. No, that's totally what I was thinking. Like she rolls a performance die, and then all the players have to try and beat that whatever she rolls.
Yeah. Which would be basically impossible for Britney Spears.
Yeah, especially
if she set her fucking charisma stat to 40. Yeah.
40, yeah.
Oh, that's nasty.
That's why she can't do it like, she has to wait so long to be able to do that again. That's like when the spotlight has come onto her, or they've done something very flashy on stage, some sort of pyrotechnic shit.
I love that.
What, plus 15? Jesus Christ.
Plus 15 to the roll? Fucking Christ.
Before proficiency.
Yeah, before proficiency. So she could have...
So it'd be probably like plus
20 or something?
22 or something to the roll. Bye.
Well, that's what some legendary creatures have. And I remember, especially during Monster Nights, I'm like, I can't physically miss unless I roll a nat 1, guys. Just letting everyone know. I'm only rolling this die just to make sure that I don't miss with a nat 1.
It do be like that sometimes.
Is there anything else you want to give it?
I mean, I think it would be fun. I would just probably, when I'm making the stat block, I'll flavor.
I forget that we make the stat blocks for all of these. Yeah. You're gonna have the privilege of making a Britney Spears stat block.
I told you I'm making a one shot. I'd probably flavor everything with song titles just because I can.
Yeah.
And I feel like with something like this, it would just be a lot of flavor. You know, like I really like that shifting stats around. I think that's fun and super OP, but it's a legendary creature. Of course it's OP. They're supposed to be.
Yeah, I think that if I added this in game with like what I have now, it might be to 30 instead of 40, but I still love that idea. Like when I wrote that, I was like, this is really cool and something you could totally do in a layer action, and it makes sense to me for a bard to be able to do that on stage.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm here for it. And I really like the sort of capoeira style fighting thing and the being able to shift around with backup dancers to divert damage and remain the center of the spotlight, as it were, or to just pull off cool, like, choreographical tricks where, is Brittany over there? No, she's right here, bitch. She's behind you, punching you in the back of your head, and you like it.
I imagine like she's like you're about to like, you know, try to slice your sword across her, but then you like blink and you look in front of you and she's not there, and she's just like posing underneath.
Right. Yeah. I think all of her, however many like vocal attacks she has, I really like the dance one that you had. I know it's not vocal, but all of the performative attacks that she has, I think if they're flavored in some way, either toward the spell like Irresistible Dance, or which just makes sense for choreographed numbers, but also like if sort of like a gazer or a beholder, when she sings, it's a different song which has a different type of effect. So like some songs are a charm thing, toxic deals poison damage, or deals, you know, thunder damage and confers the poison condition. Yeah,
I love that.
All of those types of things. Oops, I Did It Again hits twice.
I had put Oops, I Did It Again as a legendary action that she can like do a cantrip or like do her regular attack. Really cool. Oops.
Yeah, there you go.
Oops. Oops.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Fun.
And I know that when I did her in one of my campaigns, like I said, like I had a idea of Britney Spears, not legendary, and her whole shtick was that she had a spear that could turn into a toxic snake.
I love that.
She was able to transform it. I think my players enjoyed it. Some of them were like, "Oh my God, Gabe!" And I was like, "What? She has a spear. It turns into a snake. What do you want? What do you want from me?
What do you want from me?"
I mean, that pun's so bad, I even wouldn't make it.
It was so great, and that was a fun battle, even though she didn't have all of this. But
I mean, yeah. But yeah, cool.
I think that's Britney
It's
Spears.
Britney, bitch.
That's fucking Britney, bitch. I love that. And so unexpected.
But then again, once more, just for posterity, free Britney. And mental health conservatorships.
Well, I don't have a great way to segue out of this, mainly because it's kind of a serious topic.
you should sashay out of this. Sashay away and go into something else.
I can't say sashay. Apparently, let's chat about ways of discussing making your campaign gayer with the players that aren't necessarily familiar or weren't exposed to this sort of thing. And I want to reiterate, we aren't trying to educate you or like, you know, point a finger and tell you how to do these things, but I personally felt that it was important because there are some people in my life that just haven't been around gay people and they don't understand it. But they aren't necessarily against it. They just don't get it. And so there are points in my life where I choose to explain this sort of thing to them. And if you happen to have a player or two or a table of people that aren't necessarily familiar with the gays, I thought that it'd be delightful for us gays to chat about ways of discussing it. Do you want to start, Gabe?
I mean, I find that it's hard for me to have that conversation because I feel that I've surrounded myself with
yeah, I agree,
many people that are just like, yeah, whatevs. Let's do this. And so I guess that's the sort of conversation you would remind them of, being like, hey, this table is a safe place. And remember that as we're playing. Like, you can go and kill the bad guys, but don't go hating on them for one reason or another. Or if somebody else at the table is playing a gay character, don't roll your eyes if they're being fabulous or whatever sort of queer creature they have decided to be. Like, we're supposed to be here and have fun and also feel safe. And that's like a big thing that I always hope I show at my table and give to my players. And that goes with anything, but that especially goes with this, me being a queer person. Like, I want to make sure that we're in a safe place, and that if something comes up, which it hasn't, I'm so thankful, to all of my players, if all of you are listening, I love you all, that has never come up, because getting into that uncomfortable territory isn't going to be fun for any of your players. So you want to make sure to just let your players know this is supposed to be a safe place. This is supposed to be a fun place as well. Maybe we'll go into some heavy topics, but this isn't going to be one of those heavy topics unless we decide it's going to be.
Yeah. That's awesome. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, when I run a session 0, I have a list of things that I'm not really cool with, and I also try to reiterate things like safe spaces and stuff like that. If I know I'm sitting down at a table with someone who has little or no conscious experience,
that's a good way of putting it. Conscious experience,
because y'all have, even if you don't think you've interacted with someone who is queer in one way, shape, or form, let me tell you, you are wrong. You are wrong. But if I sit down at a table where I know someone doesn't have a lot of conscious experience with queer people or people of any sort of identification difference from themselves, I would reiterate probably a little harder that we don't get to comment or mock or judge people for how they play their characters. And just to like throw that out there and reiterate that, I don't think I would jump straight into, so just so you know, we all gay here and you got to deal with that. That's my opinion, but I don't think I would phrase it that way. I don't think I would even necessarily bring it up at first, because I would hope that saying we don't get to mock or judge or comment on how people play their own characters. And that goes, by the way, just for much more than just whether or not you're playing a queer or gay character or trans character. You don't get to comment or judge on how anyone plays their character at all, full stop, ever. It's their character, not yours. Don't
tell them how to play.
You don't get to tell them how to play it. Yeah.
This is their free time, and they're deciding to spend it with you. So enjoy that.
Whether you're another player or a GM. Now, if you're a GM and you think your player's character is behaving out of character for them, you still don't get to tell them how to play it, but you can ask them about why their character is, what about this situation has shifted their character.
Yeah, what's your motivation here?
Yeah, it's not that it's how their character's acting, so that's not wrong, but what is it, what has gotten them to this point, and what does that mean for their journey later on? But again, that's going back off that tangent, that's sort of how I would approach it, is just reminding people that you don't get to tell other players how to play their character, and you don't get to judge other characters for that. I also have pretty hard rules just in my life about racism and homophobia and sexism and all sorts of things. And so I probably wouldn't keep a player at my table if they had repeated issues with that.
Yeah.
I would, everyone's allowed to make mistakes. We all human. We all make mistakes.
You're supposed to grow from those mistakes too. You can't keep on making them.
Right. Exactly. So if something came up at a table or someone said something that was insensitive or offensive or even just a little like, ugh, I'd let them know that, and I would do my best to explain to them why what they said was inappropriate, and then hopefully they would take that and go. And if it happened again, I'd probably ask them not to come back. Yeah. Like if they did the exact same thing again, you're allowed to make different mistakes. But if it's like last session, I asked you not to say that because it's offensive, and then you come back and say again, you're gone. I'm sorry. I don't have that much patience in my life. And this is a game
where I'm enjoying myself. And when you're at the table, I'm not enjoying myself. Sorry, bye.
And I think that's perfectly okay. But I also think it is okay for people to make mistakes, and I think that D&D and other TTRPGs can be a great way to introduce people who don't have as much experience with any one part of the world, whether that be us queers or whether that's, I don't know, lava. You know, anything in between. It's a great way to explore all of these different parts of life that you don't otherwise get to. And that's cool. That's great.
Yeah.
So I think that just having an open and honest conversation with your players that, you know, my world that I'm running reflects the real world, which means there are people of different genders, sexualities, you know, ancestries, backgrounds, whatever. All of that is true in this world as well. And so if there's something you don't understand, you can come talk to me. If there's something that makes you uncomfortable, please let me know. If the thing that makes you uncomfortable is the fact that that dude's kissing another dude, then we got bigger problems personally, because I may not be a dude, but I kind of look like one most of the time. And I do kiss dudes. So
that's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
There. But maybe one way of showing your world a bit more is maybe having a gay pride parade, you know, within your campaign. Do you think we could like smell-o-vision that?
Smell-o-vision, 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 smell-o-vision.
So how we do smell-o-vision is Gabe and I are going to list off things that that signify a gay pride parade to us. And then we're going to hand it over to Sean to make our smells come to life. I'll go first.
Yes, please do. I'm so excited
Sweat.
to hear your pride. Oh my God.
That's the
Maybe
first
I'm not
thing.
excited.
The sweat is definitely something that I think about and know firsthand about when it comes to gay pride parades. I think that if you can smell-o-vision glitter, I'd be happy. Also, alcohol. I think specifically cheap beer and cheap alcohol, just generally, because there tends to be things in like mixed drinks that are made by cheap alcohol. Yeah, that's it.
So something that I know we're talking about the Pride Parade, but something that I feel is very prominent in my mind is the journey to the Pride Parade as well. And so the first thing that comes to mind is all the senses that I hear. Yes, smell, but also hearing, like I'm hearing the white noise of the BART. I'm hearing the noise of the people, and I'm hearing that shift into the joy and commotion that is at the Pride Parade, be it via because it's a cacophony of noises. So it's either like the sound of the different things that are going on in the parade, as well as the people that are cheering. Like for me, there's so much about the sound, as well as maybe like a little bit of the claustrophobia of it all. But
BART, dear listener, is the Bay Area Rapid Transit. It's the train that connects the various Bay Area cities. It's like the subway or the L in Chicago.
It's not some dude that Gabe is fucking.
The white noise of BART while we're fucking. Oh, wow.
Mood.
And then like on actual smell, I agree with Cam on the smell of glitter. And just also being in San Francisco, it's not just about the cheap beer. I feel like I'm smelling pot everywhere, as well as...
yeah, that's very accurate.
Yeah, and then also usually very close to where I find myself at the Pride Parade is I can also smell the food from the aisle of food trucks that are wafting by, that are all here to make a buck, but also they're here to show their support in whatever way they can.
Are they? I can do a whole episode
Yes,
on
you can.
rainbow capitalism.
But I'm
and-
also talking about food trucks and not about corporations. So let's look at the positive, because that's what I'm smelling right now. I'm smelling the positivity of this parade. Sean, the floor is yours. The positivity of this pride parade.
Smell-o-vision positivity, Sean.
So I'm doing SF Pride then,
I guess so.
specifically.
Yeah, I mean, like, we can also do like I've only been a part of like one other gay pride parade, which was in New Orleans. I'm trying to think of anything else that is different. There's more alcohol.
There's more alcohol in NOLA than there is in San Francisco.
And I mean, I've been to Humboldt, so it's less crowded and less claustrophobic for sure.
But more pot.
Yes, depending on where you're at. But it's also very open, and once again, the smell of positivity.
Indeed. No, pride parades are very positive things. I have a lot of particular sticking points with San Francisco these days, but in general, I love pride. Chicago Pride was great. St. Louis Pride is awesome. Anyway, a pride parade. Okay, so we're doing San Francisco Pride, but we're all too cool to live in the city because Oakland is so much
you mean
better.
Poor?
Whatever. I'll take the town over San Francisco any day. Oaktown Pride for
We're
life.
too cool.
We're too cool.
Change. Arms for the poor.
You're walking down the street. It's early in the day. It seems to always be early in the day for our smell-o-visions, but specifically for Pride, you got up early because you're excited. You get to go hang out with your people and be the full expression of yourself, and you're excited. You are wearing one of your favorite outfits. You've done up your face however you like to do up your face. Your hair is perfect, and you walk down the street. You hit downtown Oakland and you smell asphalt. You smell the car exhaust. You smell that breakfast joint. You walk past the bagel shop and just you're hit by those bagel smells. And you walk down into the 17th Street BART station. It's still early enough that everything smells kind of clean because they go through at night and they kind of clean everything, but not really because funding. But it doesn't yet smell like bodies and everything. But even though it's early on this Saturday morning, it's more packed in this station than it usually is. And you look around and your eyes are blasted by an array of colors. Everywhere around you can see just bright yellows, reds, blues, oranges, greens, the widest variety of people that you ever see in an already terribly diverse city is just there before you. And you all cram into this tiny train car that is made to fit maybe 100 people, and there are definitely at least 200 of you packed into this tiny ass car. You're feeling a little claustrophobic as someone bumps up against you, and you're holding on to the handle ahead or overhead, and you think, it is so early in the morning. How do you all already smell so stale? Your nostrils are hit by this stale, salty acridness of body sweat, masked with this awfully overdone cologne.
They obviously were partying the night before.
Lavender and just it's not that it smells bad. It's a good smelling cologne, but this person is wearing a bucket of it when they're supposed to spritz it on themselves. And then you also smell the woman behind you who's wearing just classic Old Spice deodorant. She's there and it's just that Old Spice mixing with, and I love the smell of Old Spice, but
yeah.
Old Spice, but that classic, just standard Old Spice deodorant mixed with this overpowering lavender cologne that's barely masking this salty, acrid sweat smell. And yeah, they were clearly out partying the night before. They've been partying since Friday. It's probably my ex. They're probably chomping down Adderall. But then the hum of the train as the light rail goes through the tunnel down underneath the water and then lets you out up into San Francisco. The doors open and everyone piles out, and there's this moment of freedom as you are no longer compacted like a fish in a tin by all of these people. You are just one with a crowd, a flowing sea of freedom and expression. You hear as what was individual conversations start to spread out so that people who have never met are chatting with each other, and it's this moment of solidarity and freedom. You go up the stairs and out into the city, and you are hit with the smell of food from all of these different cultures. There's a line of food trucks, everything you could possibly want. There's that tangy teriyaki smell. You've got the smell of sweet southern barbecue. The bacon truck is almost positively there, and so everything kind of smells like salt and fat, where you can get a bouquet of bacon. There's the Mexican place with all of those sizzling spices and jalapenos. You walk down and you sort of find yourselves along the parade route. Everything's just about to get started. The loudspeaker goes off and the MC gives a little speech to set off the parade. As the parade goes by, you smell this strange plasticine and petroleum smell, and you realize that surrounding you are people wearing body glitter. And it's just, it's petroleum jelly, it's Vaseline and oil and plastic, and it's just everywhere. And you look down at your skin and you look down at your clothes and you realize, one, you have to burn this shirt now because that's never coming out. It's going to be glitter for the rest of everything. And two, you will be bathing in bleach because that's probably the only way to get this glitter off of you with any certainty.
And you didn't put on any this morning.
And you didn't put on, well, of course, I mean, if we're talking about me, I would not put on any glitter because I know that it doesn't matter whether or not I do. I'm going to be wearing glitter by the end of this parade. The day passes, the parade goes by. There's also, as the parade goes by, different smells. You've got the smells of oiled leather, some petrol during, as the motorcades go by. The day goes on and it becomes warmer. The sun is out. It is a beautiful, brilliant, I hope you wore sunscreen, day for Pride in San Francisco. One of those few moments where the fog clears away and it is sun shining and bright and blue, and the alcohol that everyone has been drinking is just spilled all over the street, and it's drying, and it's that sticky, stale smell of spilled booze. And when you're walking through a concert and your shoes start to squelch, that smell that hits you, that drying beer, orange juice with cheap vodka that is surrounding you, that fun. I mean, I love the smell of orange juice, that citrus smell that hits your nose, and then you realize there's just a little bit of bite behind it because that girl's got a screwdriver looking at you. Happy birthday. And you follow the end of the parade. You're there with the end of the parade, and as it goes past, you decide to just track with it all the way to the landing point at the far end. And when you get there, it's just a huge dance party. thousands of people are there. Some fantastic DJ is spinning or some fabulous band is playing, and everyone is there in freedom, in happiness. Again, that cloying smell of sweat, but it's not as stale as it was before. On the train there, it was that morning after too long partying stale sweat smell. This is people moving, bodies, crushing together, just absolute expression of dance, and everyone is just a little damp, and so it still has that that salty body smell to it, but it's more of a part of you this time round. And then you realize that, oh man, I just thought to myself, wow, I guess sweaty bodies don't smell that bad. And you think, I have got to get the fuck out of this square. You back the hell up, and there's the bar, and you go in, and it's cheap booze again, but it's all on sale. They're doing $5 shots, and you're sitting there watching through the window, enjoying the fact that everyone is having so much fun, and you just sort of sip your cheap alcohol, which burns the back of your throat. But hey, you live in the Bay Area and everything's too expensive, so you'll take that cheap booze where you can get it. That ethanol smell hits the back of your nose, and as the sun sets on a fabulous Pride Day, you think, I guess life isn't that bad after all.
I was with you until you got until you got a seat in a bar to look out the window during Pride.
Oh, I've gotten seats at a bar during Pride all the time.
Depends on where you go.
After you wait for like 2 hours, maybe. Every bar that I've ever gone to during Pride has been stuffed. Like, you want to talk about the BART beans?
Oh yeah, no, the small ass San Francisco bars.
Yeah,
no, they're packed.
No way.
I can totally get a seat at a bar during Pride. Not for two, but just me, sure.
Just me.
Yeah, if you go by yourself, then maybe you can find a seat that isn't taken, that you can look out a window. That's a luck check.
Yeah, fuck you, Gabe. You think I'm taking you into the bar? No, I'll go on myself so I can sit my ass down.
That's a luck check at that point.
And grumble at the fact that there's a fucking police booth at my fucking Pride parade. And a military recruitment booth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I stopped going to San Francisco Pride.
Well, besides parades as a way to accomplish making your game gayer, what are other ways that we can do that? Gabe.
I mean, the obvious thing, which I think we've already talked about, is your Npcs.
Mm-hmm.
Is a very great way to do it. And just it doesn't need to be painted on. It can just be little sprinkles here and there, like you were talking about with the blacksmiths of Waterdeep. It's not like they have the pride flag outside. It's just that they're this loving little couple, and you can have a loving couple, throuple, whatever, in your world that just is able to add that diversity. I mean, the NPCs are obviously the easiest, I think. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of how I do it.
And also just different themes and stuff that, like, I've explored with different characters. Like, we've had the obvious that happens nowadays is, like, when they're introducing their characters, let us know their pronouns. If you feel comfortable doing that, of course, it's not something you feel forced to do. But also, I've had some characters that have transitioned during a campaign, which has been fun, especially since it's been like them trying to figure out how it flows with their character, because maybe it wasn't really seen as something that was going to happen, and then they just embraced it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I think those are some easy peasy ways, as well as like maybe a little bit harder with the transitioning, but
yeah, that's a little bit harder, but what about you?
Those are different ends of the spectrum of like little tiny NPCs / arc.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Sean?
Well, I was just gonna mention something that actually Gabe's done, adding things that are are very gay or seen as very queer into your world without it being super obvious. I mentioned camp last time, and I'm specifically thinking of a character, an NPC, that Gabe has in Fabletown, Lipsinka, who's a pop star. And I have no idea if Lipsinka is queer or gay or whatever, but the entire persona of her and her entourage is just pure camp. Full stop, pure camp. And it is very gay. Without, I have no idea if this NPC is queer or not, but the existence of her within this world makes the world a little gayer. And that is it's a more subtle thing, and it is perhaps a more difficult thing if you are not camp in and of yourself. If you're straight or cis or whatever, you may have a bit harder time figuring out what the fuck camp is, because camp is for the girls and the gays. But it is, things like that are ways you can make, there are, if you think about, or ball culture, things like that, there are things that are very, very queer that aren't NPCs, like camp, like found families. Found family is a very, very queer thing. It is not exclusive to our communities, but it is a very queer thing, and having that sort of thing in your campaign makes your world a little queerer, makes it a little gayer, makes it a little safer and friendlier for your players and for those of us who are like that. So NPCs, obviously,
That's
the easiest and
thing.
probably the best too, because it's right there. But those are a couple of other ways. Just think of things that fit in your community if you happen to be coming from a queer place. Things that are about your life that aren't necessarily to do with your identity or sexuality or anything, but at the same time still are, very, very gay. How people talk.
Yeah.
My fuck around and find out flag.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of stuff. Why don't we see what the fuck the internet wants? What the fuck does the internet want? So I found this delightful thing on Reddit through the DMs Academy, and I think that it's such a great question that they had, and I'd like to discuss it with you too. Basically, I asked this: how should I describe different gendered NPCs when introducing them? For example, should I say something along the lines of, walking into the alchemy shop, you see a gender-neutral drow elf with long white hair and purple-tinged skin tinkering with a mortar and pestle? Or, you are greeted by the city mayor, an agender dwarf with thick red hair and a beard down to their knees. Furthermore, how should I describe trans characters? Should I say you see a trans male human, or should I say you see a male human? And I think it's such a great question because, when you're trying to fill out your world, especially if you are an ally, these things might be confusing to you. And I think it's, in my opinion, hella brave of them to ask these questions point blank. Like, I need help with this. Somebody help me.
Shout out.
And I love that. That made me so happy when I saw that. How would you guys describe?
I feel that Sean and I are still finding out, and Sean, sorry if I'm putting words in your mouth, just ways that, since Sean and I play a lot of D&D together, and I feel like have a lot of times that this happens, that we're like describing somebody, and then we ourselves are like, okay, how do we not gender them without the characters going up and finding out for themselves? And I feel that a lot of times something that I do is I try to say they give off like a masculine presence, or they give off what would be stereotypical feminine qualities, or that you see, or describing their clothing as well as something that I think is really great, because you could be like, you see this high elf that is wearing this gorgeous gown, and as they turn around to you, they talk to you in a deep voice saying, "How can I help you?" Sort of things like that, like, because the idea of gender and stuff is just out there, like, you finding the correct words is going to be frustrating for a DM, especially if you're trying to be an ally, because or if you're trying to include them into your world. And I feel that I've seen other people go that way as well, on trying to be like, this is sort of what they're vibing.
This is what your vibe is.
But that doesn't necessarily mean it goes to what society's standards are. And I know that one of the things, going back to Fabletown, was like, I introduced 2 dwarves, one of them being Ruby and Flint, and the automatic question from one of my players was like, is Ruby a girl or is Ruby a guy? And I'm like, Ruby's kind of Ruby. Like,
Ruby's Ruby.
They're also, Ruby's Ruby. Like, and they're like, okay.
Yeah. I love that.
I've been doing, like Gabe said, things like a vaguely masculine figure is standing before you. And then if they are non-binary, agender, gender fluid, genderless, whatever, I just avoid, I just don't describe any sort of pronoun or anything. And then when someone inevitably misgenders them, I, out of character, out of game, just, point of order, they use they them pronouns, or point of order, you don't sense a gender from them, type of thing. I don't think I usually say point of order, but maybe
point
I
of
do.
Order.
You don't. You do not bring out the gavel or anything like that.
You like run away from the Zoom
Robert's
call.
rules
You
of
come
D&D.
back with a gavel. Point of order. They use they them pronouns.
Why does Sean not have their gavel with them already?
Right?
Jeez.
I try to avoid using gendered terms when discussing non-binary, gender fluid, etc. folks, and then simply gently correct outside of character. And then for, I think, trans characters is tricky. I think I certainly would not say, you see a trans man, because that's super unnecessary. You see a man. There is, a trans man is just a man. A trans woman is just a woman. Like, trans is definitely part of their identity, and just as trans is part of my identity, but that I'm not, anyway. It's so it's just that one is tricky, and I think it would be world dependent. I think if you really want to have a trans character, a trans NPC in your game, one, make sure you're doing that for the right reasons. Don't objectify trans folk just for your game, but working under the assumption that you are just trying to be more inclusive and have a more truer, realer world. Thank you for including trans characters. But it would be tricky for AFAB people, assigned female at birth. For AFAB people, you could do things like they're wearing, this man is wearing sort of tight chest armor that sort of pushes his chest down, basically like wearing a binder, things like that. I mean, and I don't know, that one's
Honestly,
tricky. And
I feel like when it comes to that kind of stuff, you're not necessarily going to know any of that information unless somebody asks, right? And in that point, you can role play that conversation. But I think that generally speaking, you see a male, you see a more masculine, you see a more feminine individual. Gender and sexuality don't necessarily play a factor in it until one of your players asks, and then role play the conversation. At least that's how I do it. Most of the time, I will just say something like a masculine individual, a more feminine individual, but I won't necessarily say a gender until like someone else refers to them. that is
Yeah.
like one of their close confidants, like a captain and their guards, like the guard saying like she or he or they, or any other version of the pronoun. And then at that point in time, there have been many times where a player would ask, "Oh, I don't know, is it they them?" And out of character, I'm like, yeah, the pronouns are they them, and then you can hear them typing away at their their notes. But yeah, that's generally how I deal with it. As far as sexuality, as far as finding out if they're trans, that's something that might end up happening way later on, or not at all.
Yeah.
But it's what they consider themselves. If they consider themselves male, if they're male, they're male. If they're female, they're female. If they're they, they're they. That's at least how I see it.
Yeah. And, in general, we don't behave any differently. So your characters probably shouldn't, or your NPCs probably shouldn't behave any differently just because they're trans.
Yeah.
So a trans male character is just some dude.
Yeah.
And you don't actually have to make anything more of that.
Exactly.
To Cam's point. If it comes up, it doesn't. But if you just know in your head that you have created a trans character, that's still making it a little more welcoming. If you have a trans player at your table and you want to add NPCs to the world to help normalize your player's existence within your world, I would specifically chat with that player and ask them how they would like, if they would like, and how they would like to see trans characters represented in
awesome.
your world,
Communication,
and how they would like them described. Yeah, talk to your players. It's always the right way to go. And then if you are a trans GM, then you get to decide how you want your trans characters to be in your world. And if you're an ally, go with subtle.
There you go. I love it.
Cast a subtle spell.
I use a sorcery point. Yeah, I think that's delightful. Sean, why don't you wrap us up?
Today we talked about why we should make D&D and other TTRPGs gay. Why should TTRPGs be gay? Is it important for TTRPGs to gay? No, I'm sticking with that. Is it important for RPGs to gay? Yes, it is important. And the reason you should do it is because there are gay people all around you. The queers have come home to roost, and you know one, and we're not going anywhere.
Exactly.
You know queer people, even if you don't know that you know queer people. And so opening your table up to them simply by making your game a little gayer is a great way to spread that love and acceptance further into the world and help them feel more loved and accepted, even if they're not out yet. And that's what we mean when we say make it gayer, make your table more inclusive. Mm-hmm. We talked about some easy ways to do that, which is NPCs, adding things from queer culture into your world. Talked about how to discuss different gendered individuals, NPCs, as you're describing them. We also came up with some stats for the queen herself, #FreeBritney, and we smelled the San Francisco Gay Pride Parade.
And all of its positivity.
Pride is very positive. This is very, very true. Corporations suck. Pride is positive. And that's what we did. If you have anything that you think we could add to make our worlds gayer, or any ideas on how you discuss representation and gender or anything like that in your campaigns, or any thoughts of other weird things that you smelled at Pride sometime.
Yes.
Everything that you might smell at Pride.
Please don't. Only some of us.
I didn't even talk about Astroglide.
There was a reason I didn't bring it up.
Yeah. If there's anything that you think we missed, or anything that you do to make your table more inclusive, to talk about NPCs and players of various representations, genders, and backgrounds, add us on the socials. We are at The Arcanery everywhere you get your social meds on. And you can also find us on Patreon. We have a Patreon running. You can get special behind-the-scenes looks at these types of podcasts, video clips of me yelling at Gabe and being ridiculous. And Yeah, find us on Patreon. We're at The Arcanery. Find us on all the socials at The Arcanery. Send us a message. Drop us a line. Tell us what you think.
Yeah.
And don't forget, be gay.
Be gay. Thank you, Gabe, for being a part of this episode.
I'm so glad that I could come back for the first time.
Come back
for the first time.
That's it.
Since you're coming back for the first time, where can people find you, follow you?
Oh, Bander and the Sander, if you want to follow my cat on Instagram.
That is perfect. And that's it for this episode of Game Master's Toolbox. If you found this helpful, please leave us a rating on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcast listening on. Also, check out our website at thearcanery.com, where you can pick up a free 25 NPC PDF. And if you leave us a review, you can maybe turned into an NPC for our future content creations. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to us at The Arcanery. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.